Touch Me, Daddy. Written by K. Ashley.
Chapter 2, Sky.
Fuck me, I spoke with unwavering confidence, completely disregarding the fact that he may be my dad's closest buddy or even much older than me. The water glistened on his taut, strong chest, and his hazel eyes darkened. He took a step nearer, continuously stroking his cock as he saw my fingers rubbing my pussy. My anxiety was skyrocketing, yet I made sure not to display any sign of it when he came in. I perched upright, observing him as he crouched down on a lower stair and firmly grabbed onto my thighs. With a forceful tug, he pulled me off the step and drew me closer towards him. His confidence sent shivers down my spine, and I eagerly wound my legs around his waist. He boldly slid his hand down and stroked through my slickness, tracing a path up to my pleasure button and exerting just the right amount of pressure. My ecstasy was undeniable as I let out a loud moan, tilting my head back in pleasure as he thrust his remaining fingers inside me, stimulating me thoroughly on the edge of the pool. The pleasure he gave me was absolutely intoxicating, and I craved more with each passing moment. I could sense my climax rising, a fiery sensation building up inside my core with every skilled stroke of his hand. Just seeing him play with my folds while simultaneously pumping his rock-hard cock was enough to send me over the edge. He worked his fingers with rapid precision, fully aware that he was going to make me explode even before he entered me. I clung onto the edge of the pool, my ample breasts bouncing as I let the warm water wash over me. My screams of ecstasy grew louder and louder, while he simply licked his lips and grinned in satisfaction. "Come on," he encouraged me. "That's right, come for me." A fiery passion ignited within me, causing intense waves of pleasure to ripple throughout my entire being. His mere words seemed to ignite a direct path to my climax, and I couldn't help but scream out in pure ecstasy as my body arched in pleasure. His fingers slipped out of my grip as he moved forward, my convulsing body still trembling with desire. As he inserted the head of his massive member inside me, my juices flowed, filling him up completely. He was so big, stretching me out in an instant, each and every bump and groove of his shaft taking control. With a deep exhale, I shifted from the bliss of climax to the thrill of his manhood. I ran my fingers over his chiseled abs as the water cascaded around us. My mouth hung open in ecstasy and I let out loud moans that matched his thrusts. The sound of our bodies colliding and the water splashing added to the intense experience. Our gazes met as I lifted my eyes, and in that moment of collision, our eyes were locked. He entered me, grabbing my thighs and leaning forward while rolling his hips. His fingers dug into my flesh, and the mix of pleasure and pain put me into a frenzy of ecstasy. I fought to hold back another orgasm as I reveled in the sensation of him moving inside me, driving me wild. Derek's eyes fluttered closed, his head tossed back and forth, and he released a loud moan of pleasure. I knew that we were not far apart. As the heat overwhelmed me, I reached down and started to stroke my clit, groaning increasingly loudly. My breathing grew labored, my body stiffened, and I teetered on the brink of spilling over, coming hard and long. My body writhed around Derek as my pussy tightened around his hard cock and he quickened his speed. He stared down at me as my muscles started to relax, pulled out his dick, and stroked it vigorously. His hot sperm began to spew out in streams across my tits as I leaned forward, thrusting out my tits and biting my lip. When all of the bliss waves had been released, he murmured softly while continuing to move his fingers up and down the shaft of his cock. As I strolled towards the pool showers, I switched them on and gleefully washed off the remnants of our fiery romp. Flashing a sly grin and biting my lip, I turned to catch a glimpse of him diving into the water to retrieve his shorts. Wearing a look of both exhaustion and satisfaction, he put on his shorts and made his exit. After completing my shower, I wrapped a towel around my body and settled down next to him, sensing the guilt he was experiencing. He had just slept with his best friend's daughter and was aware that my dad would not be pleased if he ever found out. As I inched closer to him, I planted a peck on his cheek, feeling remorseful myself. "Relax, it will be our little secret," I reassured him. He whipped his head towards me, his eyes widening in surprise at how I could read him so well. A grin spread across his face as he shook his head and pulled me in for a kiss. After releasing his lower lip, I got up from my spot, set my towel aside, and quickly changed back into my swimsuit. I couldn't risk any awkward questions from my dad now that we were living together. The last thing I wanted was to give him a reason to pry. I cast a quick peek across to Derek's keys on the table and noticed his phone. I approached, grabbed it, and entered my phone number into the contacts. I cast a quick peek across to Derek's keys on the table and noticed his phone. I approached, grabbed it, and entered my phone number into the contacts. Despite the fact that I had dated other guys, I knew that Derek could give me pleasure that I couldn't even fathom because he was older. As I walked towards him, I noticed him stroking his bearded chin. Despite feeling guilty for sleeping with his best friend's daughter, he still had an alluring presence. I tapped him on the shoulder and handed him his phone. "Hey there," I smiled. "I put in my number, just in case you want to see me again." He gingerly took his phone from my hand and observed as I sauntered away from the poolside. Though my heart was racing, I maintained my composure as I turned the corner towards the elevator. Once inside and the doors closed shut, I let out a deep sigh of disbelief. I couldn't fathom that Derek Riggs had finally given in and slept with me after all this time. I had always daydreamed about what it would be like to be with someone as experienced and wise as him, and boy, did he exceed my expectations. The way his body moved against mine was incredible, and he took complete charge. Usually, I was the one who had to initiate things to get what I wanted, and the guys I had been with in the past were my age or even younger. But with Derek, I tried to take control and he shut it down immediately, guiding me into the exact position he wanted me in. To empower him and ease his guilt of being friends with my dad, I gave him my phone number, putting the ball in his court. But let's be real, what I really wanted was to have another steamy session with him. He better not keep me waiting too long, or else I'll have to remind him of those swimming lessons I need ASAP. Either way, I took control of my sexuality and was bold and unapologetic about it, and it felt damn good. After returning to my father's house, I found myself constantly under his watchful eye, which made it difficult for me to assert my independence and follow my heart's desires. Although I didn't want to harm anyone, I couldn't see a way out of the situation other than keeping it a secret. Derek stressed the importance of discretion, so I had to keep quiet as much as possible. The last thing we wanted was for my father to catch us in the act and realize we were sneaking around behind his back. As I stepped out of the elevator, I tiptoed towards the door, carefully inserted the key, and quietly slipped inside. My father was engrossed in reading the New York Times, perched on his favorite recliner in the living room. I tried to sneak past him unnoticed, but his keen senses caught me. "Sky," he called out, peering at me over his glasses. "How was your swim?" "Great," I replied, taking a deep breath. "Did you run into Derek up there?" he asked, his face betraying no emotion. "I'm pretty sure he had plans to swim this afternoon as well." "Yup," I nonchalantly replied, trying my best to appear cool as a cucumber. I saw him. He just said hi and mentioned that he was going to take a shower.
My father gave a quick nod, and I continued towards my room, heaving a sigh and rolling my eyes.
As messed up as the situation was, there was something exhilarating about keeping secrets and doing something that was forbidden. Apart from my father, Derek Riggs was one of the most impressive and powerful men I had ever met, and I had a feeling that he would play a significant role in my life from now on.
Follow and subscribe Sulfur Monoxide. You'll get notified when we upload more videos.